We are News Radio 1080 KRLD.
Thanks so much for staying with us. It's 10:50. I'm David Rankin. If you want to improve your own productivity at the office, the answer might be as close as the location of your desk. New research that shows it's a bit of a dance when it comes to where you're sitting. It says if you want to improve your work, sit close to the biggest star in your department. We bring in Jim Whiddon. He's a work expert at the Old School. He's on the KRLD Newsline. Jim, haven't we always know if you want to do better, you sit next to the smart kid?
There's no question about that. I mean, this is a topic that is so cliche-rich. I mean, you know, the whole idea of hitching your wagon to a star or birds of a feather flock together. So, yeah, naturally you'd want to hang around somebody that's great if you want to become like them. But it's interesting to me that they had to do a study to understand this because, again, it seems so intuitive and so old school. But I'd tell you what I did like is the 10% spillover effect that the researchers looked at. That's a good concept. That's interesting. If you sit next to somebody, you're going to get about a 10% improvement just by being there.
So just being in the presence, how does that work?
Well, I think it's also from, the positive aspect of that, when we tell candidates when they're looking for a position to make sure they find out who their mentor is going to be, their supervisor, i.e., and then who their coworkers or who their peers are going to be, because that may be the most important decision that you make when you make a career move or even take your first entry-level job. It's so important. It's just like we tell our kids, our teenagers, look, determine who you're going to hang around because that is going to set you on a trajectory. Good, bad, or indifferent, that is what happens in life. And so it's no different here in the workplace.
And in the workplace also, one bad apple can spoil?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a fundamental concept that is universal. It doesn't matter if it's the workplace, in the home, in school, wherever it might be. Absolutely. People have influence on our lives, and we don't often recognize how either valuable or, in this case, rotten that might be.
How do you know if you're the person that everyone wants to sit next to or the person who should be sitting next to someone great?
Well, I think everybody should be sitting next to someone great, and I think everyone should be striving to be that person. I mean, think about it from an employer standpoint and from a candidate standpoint. This is why it's so important to find well-rounded workers, and this is done right up front in the interview process. Again, pardon the cliche, but it's the old stitch in time saves nine. And it's asking the right questions as an employer, the questions that are open-ended, like, how would you describe yourself? Or can you describe a situation where you had a conflict or an issue with a coworker? Those types of questions on the employer side are going to be so valuable. As a candidate, when they give you the ball in the interview and you can ask them questions, you want to ask things like, how would you describe the company's values? Because that's going to give you some clues as to who they're hiring and who you're going to possibly be, quote unquote, sitting by. And then who would be on my team and to whom would I report? May I have a chance to visit with them? That is so important. And so often people don't do that before they take the job just because they're anxious or they need the job, they need the money, whatever it might be. But, man, they're really tripping over dollars to pick up nickels when they do that.
That's Jim Whiddon from the Old School.